don't want them there. Take them someplace else or send them back to Venezuela. I don't care where they go.
It's pretty interesting seeing how conservative liberals get regarding the issue of immigration when the problem is on their actual doorstep or is impacting their own neighborhood. Check out this fiery interaction in Chicago about illegal immigration. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video, y'all. They make some pretty sound, solid arguments as to why they have an issue in the first place.
A heated response tonight from a Southside community where hundreds of migrants are about to be moved.
Yeah, it's happening in Hyde Park. Tia Ewing has the explosive meeting tonight.
2 buses showed up in the city of Chicago today carrying migrants, and we know at least for the week there's been 4 that have arrived here. And this is not the first time that migrants will call Hyde Park home. 120 lived at the Lakeshore Hotel in January and also March. Most residents didn't know anything about it, and this is the first time they are sounding off.
I don't want them there. Take them someplace else or send them back to Venezuela. I don't care where they go.
This lady ain't playing around. She's like, I don't want them here. Send them back. But as this video goes on, they'll start to unpack more details as to why they feel the way they do.
This is wrong. You got 73% of the people homeless in this city are black people. What have you done for them?
There were lots of fireworks.
I mean, honestly, what do you say to that? And here's my point. And some people may take issue with this, but I honestly don't think that there's any reason to, because no city, no state, no country has an endless budget. We may try to act like it sometimes, printing money and writing checks that we really can't cash. But when it's all said and done, if you already have an issue in your community, and yet you're not handling that problem, but now you're going to open the door to some other people who aren't even citizens, and God bless them. I'm in favor of immigration, but I'm in favor of legal immigration. But at the same time, if I was living in a crappy country, third world country, like some of these other locations where some of these people are coming from, and you had the president of the United States basically say that there's an open door here, ultimately with a much greater purpose in mind, I think with the idea of moving the election in their favor, knowing that there's some statistics that demonstrate that the illegals and immigrants in general have a tendency to vote Democrat, that's what they're trying to do. As much as they try to act like that's not the case, ultimately, that's what they're trying to do. And they were coming in impacting states like Florida and Texas, which were red states for a long period of time. But now that they're being bussed in New York and California, different parts of California to Illinois, now you see people having a completely different response to it because it's not really helping them on a political level. But when you get down to it, honestly, it's like me being a parent. My kids are hungry. And yet at the same time, I'm going to open my door. I'm not feeding them. I'm not taking care of them 100% or the way that I should. But then somebody knocks on my door, some neighbors down the street, and then some other neighbors knock on my door and say that they need food. But at the same time, my own kids aren't being taken care of. That's not good. Take care of home first. There's a Bible verse that talks about that as far as taking care of your home front initially, or you could be considered worse than a non-believer. I know there's some varying context there, but I don't think there's anything wrong with having the mindset of let's take care of our own people here in our country before we decide to open the doorway and trying to fix all the world's problems. Let me know what you think.
Over the migrants moving into the Lakeshore Hotel for 6 months, where 300 can be housed. Also, the city says it's a fluid situation and it will need to revisit that timeline. Even the alderman, Desmond Yancey of the 5th Ward, says he just found out about it last week.
I found out on Wednesday, called a meeting immediately. I don't know what happened before I got here. But in the spirit of transparency, this is why we're in a room, because I felt it was important for community members to know what was going on in their neighborhood, even if the mayor's office wasn't willing to.
It was standing room only inside the promontory. Residents had a lot of questions about police patrols, the change noticed in communities where migrants currently are, and the future plans for dealing with the migrant crisis.
Plymouth Court and Van Buren That site looks like basically a bomb went off. So I'm concerned about the sites where the migrants are.
We have shelter rules that we implement across the sites.
New arrivals must wait 150 days to apply for a work permit. Those on the front line of dealing with this crisis says part of the solution is getting migrants seeking asylum work.
Without some remedies from the federal action, whether it's funding or the ability for folks to work, we find ourselves in a hole.
And despite the overall response from residents, come this Friday, that is the earliest that migrants will start moving into the hotel. From Hyde Park, Tia Ewing, Fox 32, Chicago.
Man, over the last few months in Chicago and New York, there's been violence erupted over this. And this isn't a bunch of white conservatives who don't want brown people or black and brown people coming into their country. You see plenty of black folks. You see plenty of other Hispanic folks who realize, like, you know what, this ain't right. Handle our issues first. 73% of the homeless people, she said, are black in that city, and yet you're going to open the doorway to other people. I just think that's wrong. I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of for standing on that perspective. But at the same time, get what you vote for, y'all, straight up. And bad as Lori Lightfoot was, I think that she was definitely better than this Brandon Johnson guy in Chicago. But these liberal cities, I think so many times they give this air of compassion and love. But when their policies are actually lived out, there are usually dead bodies stacked up behind them. And I'll stand behind that. And I actually plan on doing a video in the near future, Lord willing, to really break that down. Before you go, check out this video right here. I think you'll find it similar and also very helpful.